Okay, welcome back here to part 2 of the G4 guitar teacher training. We're going to have a little chat here about the songs. Now, due to copyright, we're not able to publish the notation or the tab versions of the songs, but there are some videos that you can have a look at. If you just go to YouTube and type G4 guitar and the name of the song, there are a few there, but even some of them they're taking down and they will probably all disappear eventually. But the thing with the songs is just go with the standard anyway. You can even put your own songs in if you really want to, if you think of something that along the style that you want to do. Songs date, I know that, so we're not too worried about the actual songs. And there is a reason that we teach the songs, and it's not about the songs. Songs are basically about developing memory. So I'm just going to go through here and go through a little blog here that I've written to explain a little bit more. The G4 guitar method is based on the old Chinese wisdom of give a man a fish and feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Everything we do is based on developing the skills required to be a professional guitar player. The area that is worth mentioning is the song component found on the student checklists. The songs are about developing song memory because almost any professional player, other than classical guitarists and some club musicians, playing from charts is not an option. Guitar players need to memorize a full repertoire or more of songs. Now, I think any of you would agree that I've played in many bands and I had to remember, 40, 50, 60 songs, whatever. And that's just the way it is. And you've got to memorize them. You can't be reading from charts. As a G4 guitar method teacher, you don't want to be giving your students tab or sheet music of the songs. It's all copyright protected anyway. It's going to cost you more money. It's going to cost the students more money. But more than anything, it's about we're trying to teach them how to memorize their songs. So what we want to do is the way to develop the memory is to give a little piece of the song each week to remember. Over time, their memory will develop and you can give them more of the song each time. So the idea is that you give, let's say you just give 2 notes, your first 2 notes. This is how I teach. I'll give you the first 2 notes. You can go and look at the G4 Guitar Simpsons video and you'll see. So it'll be the first 2 notes, dun, dun, and then I'll go, okay, let's do that. Dun, dun. Can you do that? Everyone do that? Bang, good. Okay, let me give you the next note. Dun, 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 etc. And so you build on it. And then you give them a few notes, go away, come back. Who can remember the notes from last week? Yes, I can remember. Bang. And so what you're doing is you're training them to take in more and more notes to the point where you can play a phrase of maybe 10 or 12 or 15 notes and they can memorize it straight away without having to write it down. And this is what teachers do, is they write everything down, but they don't actually teach students the memory exercise of memorizing those songs. And many teachers will say, oh, but you've got to write it down, they'll forget it, they won't do it if you don't write it down. They only don't do it because they haven't been trained. If you can train them in memorizing pieces and sections of songs, then they'll be able to learn much faster and they won't need to write it down. So keep that in mind. Now, the idea is we want to strengthen their memory. Alright, so let's go back, and now what we're going to do is have a look at the next one. This is the AMEB. This applies to those of you in Australia. If you're in the United States, Canada, UK, anywhere else in the world, you're still welcome to use the checklist which we have available. You're still welcome to use the materials here, and it's a great little course. It's not perfect. It's got its faults, but again, it sets a goal. And it makes it nice and easy for students and makes it easy for you. You don't have to go and redesign the whole method. You can just follow the AMEB curriculum and away you go. And it's a standard. It really meets a good standard. So it also has what they call a free choice component, which means that you can choose the songs. So even if you're doing the AMEB and you're doing the skills but you don't want to do the songs, sure, just go and choose some other songs. Choose whatever songs you want. It doesn't matter. Remember, the songs are about developing song memory. So once you have taken the students through these levels, our G4 levels, the senior levels, then you can go on to steps 1 for AMEB. It's best to buy the books and work through the materials, and you can buy them online. They'll send them to you wherever you are in the world, I'm sure. And you can go to the AMEB website, just type in AMEB, and I'm sure it will come up on any search. Now, if you want to, you can do a different one. You don't have to do the AMEB. You might want to do one of the ones. If you're in the UK, there's a couple over there. I think one called Rock School and others called Trinity. I'm sure in the United States you've got different things over there as well. Whatever works for you. Okay, let's talk about group teaching. Group teaching is where it is all at. Now, I'm not going to just say this from a money point of view, because you will earn more money, of course, but there are other benefits to it. Group teaching is the best way to increase your earnings, but it's also shown to get better results for your students, and that's critical. If you know that the way that you're operating is not the best way and get the best results for your students, then you should seriously consider what you're doing. So groups, small groups, not big groups, not groups of 20 or 30 or 40, but groups of 5 to up to 10 maybe, depending on how good a teacher you are the ideal numbers. And the reason that these small numbers work so well is because they have these added benefits. Let me give you an example. One benefit, these have been shown in research studies, by the way, but one of the benefits is what I call extended learning. It means that when you finish teaching the student for, let's say you do a half an hour lesson, you've got a group of 5 there, you finish a half an hour, at the end of that half an hour, those students will be talking outside. They will be chatting, they'll make friends, some of them will already be friends, and they will go, what was that scale that I was learning, what was that chord that he was showing us today, etc., etc. And then that extends their learning, because they're reinforcing what they learn, and they're giving each other a lesson, if you like. So one knows something well, one picked up, because in your lessons they're not going to pick up 100% of everything that you do, so they get this extended learning. The other thing is that they're more likely to continue long term. Students who learn privately are much more likely to give up, and the reason that is, and sometimes it goes against what we think, but here are the results. I know that because I taught for group for many years, and I know that this is the result. The reason that it works so well this way is because when you bring students together in groups, then they make friends, they make connections with other people in the group. So they're not just relying on their relationship with you, the intimidating teacher who knows everything. They've got other friends in the group. This is a peer thing going on. So they're more likely to want to stick with the guitar, to hang with their friends, if nothing else. So there's many other reasons, but these are just a couple of reasons. So group teaching is definitely the way to go. Now, one other thing that I will say on group lessons is that it gives you more time to be able to focus on developing the way that you teach, developing other things. So you're not actually teaching all the time. Private teachers end up teaching long hours to make the same money that a group teacher can do in less than half. Sometimes a third of the amount of time they can earn more money than it takes a private teacher. And so what that does is the teacher is giving less quality. They're more tired, especially as students come at the end of the day. They're run down, they're burnt out. And maybe short term this is not a problem, but long term, you teach for a couple of years, teaching long hours, 6 days a week, to make the same money that a group teacher is teaching over a couple of days, then you get exhausted, you get burnt out, you get tired, you get over it, and you give up teaching altogether. If you keep a balance there, teaching say 3 days a week, and the other days you're developing your own guitar playing, then you're being good for your students. You're being healthy, happy, positive, developing your playing, not overworking, so everybody wins. Alright, so that's enough about group teaching. Let's talk about the number one factor in why students either continue or quit, and that is student confidence. This is one of those things that rarely gets talked about. A lot of teachers avoid this subject. They're so focused on the content that they're not thinking about the student confidence. A confident student is much less likely to give up. A confident student can see that it's achievable. It's when they lose that confidence that they give up. So here's the facts. In 95% of cases when a student cancels their lessons, it could have been avoided. Now that is the truth. I've done the numbers, I've ran them for many, many years, and I know I did a special research project where I didn't lose, I basically retained 97% of my students for more than a year. Now, these were students who started absolutely from the start with me. They were new students, and for more than a year, they stayed on, and 97% of them stayed with it, only 3% dropped out. So here's the thing, and those 3%, by the way, they either moved, or in one case the guy had to be hospitalised, so he wasn't able to continue. So they were most students, and I can 95% is being generous, 5% is generous. The idea is that most students will continue with you if their confidence levels are up. They can see that they can achieve the goals. So students drop out mostly because they lose faith in themselves, in their confidence, and their ability to be able to learn guitar, or the teacher. They look at the teacher and think, this teacher's not able to do it. I don't know if this teacher can really help me. Or the third is the program. They don't think your program is valid. They can't really see how it's going to work for them. So to avoid dropouts, you need to recognize the early signs. Signs include Number one, not filling in their practice log. If a student is not filling in their practice log, it means that they're not on board with your program. Number two, they get distracted or become disruptive in class. Now this is typical with kids. They will muck around, they will say, what's that? They'll ask silly questions, they'll make jokes, they might even torment other students. These are the kind of things that you can see is an early sign of a student with no confidence, because when they don't have the confidence, they're trying to divert your attention away from their guitar playing. Number three, students will say they have been too busy to practice. Again, this is an excuse. They're not practicing because they're not confident in what they're doing, so they don't want to do it. They feel awkward, they feel uncomfortable. So you've got to build their confidence back up. Say, you can do it, dude. You can make it happen. Now, number four is they're not showing up for lessons 2 weeks in a row. Students who miss lessons, it's a bad sign. You need to get on the phone, you need to find out what's going on. It's a confidence issue. Next one is not working on the G4 Guitar Method program. So even if it's not the G4 Guitar Method program, your program, whatever program they're working on, if they're not working on it, then the odds are they're about to throw in the towel. It means that they're not following your instruction. They're off trying to do something else because they don't feel like they can do this. Asking to learn new songs to avoid the current work. Again, this is just another distraction, same as the above. They're late for class. This is a problem. When students are not turning up on time, it means that they're not really committed to what you're doing, and again, they're trying to get out of having to do the work. And the next one, general lack of interest or enthusiasm. They're sitting there going, hum-ho, this is boring. That's a common one. They'll say, oh, this is boring, I'm not interested. Can we do something else? Can we learn a song? Again, they're trying to move away from the work. They're not confident in what you're asking them to do, and that's why they do it. And then parents seem concerned or mention stopping lessons. As soon as a parent shows concern and says they're going to stop, you know you're in trouble. Again, it's a confidence issue. They're talking to their kids at home, and the kids are saying, I don't really want to learn guitar, it's boring, I hate it, blah, blah, blah. And so the parents then show some concern. And that's where, these are all the early signs of confidence. It's all about confidence, just remember that. Okay, moving along. Consistency. Consistency is the secret ingredient to success. It's our habits that form the basis to our skills. Forming good habits early depends on consistency. If you consistently check student practice logs, sorry, I'm talking about your habit as a teacher here, not about your students. Your consistency will translate to their consistency. So if you consistently check student practice logs every week, they will fill them in and will progress. So you need to be consistent. You need to say, first thing I need to do is look at your practice log. If you also check and update their checklists every week, they will practice, and they will practice what's on the checklist. So you're trying to do two things. You're trying to get them to practice, and you're trying to get them to practice what's on the checklists. In other words, if you are consistent, they will be. Creating consistency means they are more likely to stick around, because consistency is actually rare. But people seek it. People want it. They strive for it because it gives them the discipline that they often lack in their own lives. Think about McDonald's, Disney, the 6 o'clock news. These are important, consistencies in our life, and that's why they're so successful, because they're consistent. McDonald's knows that it needs to deliver the same service, same hamburger, no matter where and when. And these Mickey Mouse, we think of Disney. Disney has this consistent high level of service. Okay, so that's consistency. So let's move right along. The next one is professionalism. Presenting yourself professionally really should go without saying, because I know 99% of teachers realize the importance of making a good impression, but there are a few basics to remember. First of all, dress for success. Look good. Look like you're serious about your teaching. You take it seriously. That you've dressed up for a first date with them. Make it look good. No scary t-shirts, please. Wear footwear. Don't go around barefoot unless you're working in Japan, and then put some slippers on or something to make it at least look professional for the environment that you're in. Now, be clean and tidy. Messy rooms are a sign of disorganisation. People will be put off. Everyone has different standards. If you can meet high standards, you won't have a problem. No smoking. It's not the time or place, of course. No food. Don't leave food around. And consider the smell. Make sure you don't smell bad. Have a shower before you start teaching. Ventilation and light. Maintain a healthy environment. Keep the standards high. Alright, so there's a bit of a quiz there. You can have a look at that now. I'll freeze it at the end here, and you can have a look at that quiz. If you've got any questions, as always, talk to me. We'll have a look at the other training coming up soon, but this is the first and most important training. Thank you for your time, and good luck.